but for personal reasons, you were unable to go. Oh,
you know everything.
Oh, well. Also with us, Jacques Meyers, also a member of Parliament.
Fortunately, I was not invited.
From, as you can see, from the other side of the aisle, from the Conservative UMP party. Philip GOLUB, who teaches at the American University of Paris, and Judah GRUNSTEIN, who's the man responsible for all you'll find at World Politics Review. Thanks for being with us, all of you. The beginning of this press conference, we heard the U.S. president and the French president talk about something that they mentioned when they penned a joint letter, which was a joint letter in which they talked about burden sharing. In that letter, the two of them had said at the time that more nations must step forward and share the burden and costs of leadership. At this press conference today, Barack Obama and François Hollande broaching a lot of questions about Syria, about Iran. Philip GOLUB gives us a little bit more of an insight into the reason for this invitation that went out in November for this state visit.
Well, I think, in part what Barack Obama himself has been saying is holds true here, which is that France has become in recent years one of the more dynamic, actors in an ally for the United States in its international security operations, in particular in Northern Africa, but also in the context of other more clandestine operations. France has the largest military capabilities in Europe at this time. Military budgets everywhere else are going down. This is true of Germany, Italy. It's even true of the United Kingdom. So France has emerged as a significant actor alongside the United States, subordinate actor along the United States in some security operations in which the United States is trying to create in Africa, in Northern Africa, in the Middle East, a division of labor which allows for burden sharing in the Atlantic Alliance. On the French side,
this issue of burden sharing.
Yeah, well, it's important. It's an important issue.
Essentially, and maybe I'll put this to you, Axelle LEMAIRE, first. This issue of burden sharing. You got the sense, listening to the press conference, that here was the model pupil that's stepping up. It was a message maybe to the British, whose parliament voted against intervention in Syria, to the Germans, who have not been forthcoming with taking part more in military interventions. They're starting to, but timidly. It's a message to France's allies.
Yes, well, there was a reference to the special relationship between the US and Britain, and President Obama compared France and Britain to his two daughters, which I found very interesting. He said, I couldn't, as a father, asked to choose one of them. But it also does sound a little paternalist in a way. But I think this idea that there needs to be a share in who takes responsibilities for what is clearly the reflection of a reality, which is that the defense budgets are going down, the fact that the United States are stepping out of the zones where they had sent soldiers, Iraq, Afghanistan. They're now looking more towards Asia, and President Hollande has taken hard decisions to send troops in Africa, in the Central African Republic, in Mali. He wanted to go even further in Syria, which is something that wasn't done in the end. But so there is clearly a shared interest. And yes, it is probably a message sent to other European countries to say, well, take your part in that responsibility.
So how should France take it? This is
very badly, because I'm very shocked by this kind of speech. Because what we do is not to be the daughter or son of America. What does it mean? We are a sovereign state, and I prove when we send our soldiers to Mali and to Central Africa, but I refuse to present French policy as the sharing of the burden of the Western world. That will be a big mistake, because then, we will look at those Westerners who wants to impose their rule everywhere in the world. We are facing reality in Mali. This is our job, and we acted because we had to do, because terrorism can come even to France.
Jacques Mial, let's listen to what Barack Obama said exactly, and then I'll get your reaction to it. Barack Obama speaking a short while ago during that press conference with François Hollande.
I have 2 daughters, and they are both gorgeous and wonderful, and I would never choose between them. And that's how I feel about my outstanding European partners. All of them are wonderful in their own ways. Now, to the serious part of the question, what I do believe is that the U.S.-French alliance has never been stronger, and the levels of cooperation that we're seeing across a whole range of issues is much deeper than it was, I think, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
And the question again had been, does this mean that Britain is no longer
I think that
in that special relationship that France has replaced Britain?
No, when the American president is right, is that the European have to also, face reality and not disarm, because today Europe is disarming because we have budget difficulties, and the first budget in defense is still Britain.
UK.
Is still Britain. But the point is that if we carry on this way we are going on now, we will have difficulties in a couple of years. So there is a need, absolute need, to face realities and to assure our own defense as well. Of course, we are in an alliance, of course. And the Americans, especially in question of information, intelligence, help us in Mali, help us in Libya. This is true. But I think that it is absolutely a diplomatic mistake to present things like that, to have 2 daughters. What does it mean? First of all, Britain and France were, mother of America, and not the way around. So this is absolutely a diplomatic mistake. And I would say that Hollande should have answered that with a kind of irony and said, don't worry for that, because we are grown up for long before you.
But probably by saying that we're all part of the same family.
I think.
No, there's no
I believe he said that he has 4 children.
No.
He said he had 4, but listen, I agree that there's no question. It was the first thing that I thought. It's the first thing that everyone thought. It was a very awkward and clumsy way to express the fact that they're 2 allies, they're 2 friends, and there's not a question of choosing between one or the other. There's another thing. There's another reason why the question makes no sense, because first of all, there's no need to choose between one or the other. The second thing is that the entire alliance is stronger when all 3 and other European countries act together rather than choosing. The problem is, though, that there is a problem of burden sharing, and that I think goes directly to Germany and not to the UK. The UK committed to Afghanistan, committed to Iraq. The UK armed forces are in a state of extreme having been worn down from a decade at war, including budget cuts, and so the UK obviously needs time. They did participate in the Libyan operation, but the UK armed forces needs time to reset. The French armed forces are in a different situation where it's more the future that is a concern in terms of future budgets. The French armed forces, in terms of equipment right now, in terms of operations, is probably at a peak level of preparedness and professionalism, and that was shown in the Mali operation. I agree with what you said about the symbolism, the dangerous symbolism of having a Western alliance moving in everywhere and sort of.
But that's what it is.
Well, it is, but but listen, at the same time, the operation in Mali, France.
No, I don't wish. I don't wish that at all.
France was very clearly the first in Mali, as it should be. There's no reason Germany doesn't have a vocation to be operating in Africa as a frontline force. They don't have the experience, they don't have the cultural ties, they don't have the historical experience and ties. At the same time, in all of these operations, what's very clear, whether it's a counterinsurgency or a counterterrorism operation, there's a first operation moving in to clear out the bad guys. And then there's a second operation when it comes time to actually holding that territory, securing it, and making sure the bad guys don't come back. And it's in that second wave where in Mali, it was Chadian forces and it was African forces that are doing the bulk of the work. But at the same time, the concern with those forces is that they don't have the level of equipment, they don't have the level of training, they don't have the logistical support. So that's where, once the French forces have taken care of what only really they can take care of, there needs to be more of a European involvement in terms of Germany. The Dutch have agreed to move in to Mali. The Germans have talked about moving in, sending in more people. I think it was several tens to maybe 100 people. But that's where really Germany needs to step up. They're the biggest economy in Europe. They have a skilled armed forces. They have the capacity. And either Germany needs to move in, or the UK and Germany need to free up the EU battle groups, which are there and ready to go.
We are facing a new world in which we are living in a transnational world. And the main objective that we have to fight, and I say to fight, is terrorism. Because that's moving very fast. Even in our suburbs, with the links, you see how many children even, or French citizens, British citizens, Belgian citizens go to Syria when they come back. So we have really to work together. And it happens. We work there with Americans, we work with the British, we work with others, intelligence services.
And that brings up another point, which is if you and it was a point made by the French foreign minister back in November, of Laurent Fabius, saying that he criticized the U.S. openly over its newfound, what he guess you could call isolationism. He said the United States no longer seems to want to let itself get drawn into crises that no longer correspond to its new vision of its national interests. Because of its strength, it's plain and simply a withdrawal which could now leave major crises to fester.
Well, I don't agree with that really, because Americans, of course, as Axelle said, are looking east. This is true. But in terms of intelligence, in terms of combat terrorism, I can assure that we have close cooperation and carry on. And the question of Mali is not the Syrian war. This is not the Iraqi war. It has a smaller scale, but it's very dangerous because it's a huge country. Sahel is a huge place to find and to get those guys.
So it has to be a multilateral effort.
It has to be a multilateral. It happens, but we know that we will do the job sometimes. I'm not waiting for the Europeans because the Europeans are out. They don't understand that we care about that. We should do that. And I approve President Hollande that he send our troops there. But the point is that we all Europeans will face a reality which is becoming dangerous and more dangerous.
We're going to pick up on this point when we come back. We're going to take a very quick break. Stay with us. It's the France 24.
Moi, je reste dit.